thank you, Advancement Courses, for sponsoring today's show. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn how to save 20% for online professional development. 5 tips to make students feel valued in the classroom. Episode 476.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with Crystal Willis. She's a middle school teacher in California, but many of you will know her as Sunflowers and Sped on Instagram. And today, you have some suggestions for making students feel valued in the classroom. Where do we start?
Okay, my first tip would be to see the students' strengths before their struggles, to recognize their talents and gifts and point out their great character traits, like they're hardworking, or they have grit, or they're creative, or they're talented, or artistic, or they're just really kind, or they're patient, to point those out constantly to them. Because I've noticed that students in special ed, they really struggle with negative comments. And I know there's like a fact out there that says that for every one negative comment, it needs 10 positive comments to erase that one negative comment. So they just really need to know that they're good at something, that they have value. So that's my number one thing.
Well, and strengths is just something that we need to do. And it's amazing when you find a genuine strength for students, just how they respond. Can you give me an example, Crystal, of a time that you mentioned a strength and it really was an awesome experience?
I was working with a student who did not think he was good at writing. And I remember I was telling him, well, I don't care about the grammar. I want to hear your thoughts. And you have really good thoughts. And you have so much to share and you have good stories. And he looked at me and he was about to cry. And he said, no one has ever told me that ever in my life. And I just remember thinking, if we can all just start to love on our students and just really hone in on these things that they have to say, these gifts, these talents, these stories, gosh, we're going to change the world.
Well, and kids who struggle, they know very well what they're not good at doing. What they're looking for, what am I good at doing? And that's going to unlock their future, because those will be the things that they go into in their life. You know, so many kids graduate from high school knowing lots of things, but they don't know anything about themselves.
So true. And I worked in high school too. And it was the hardest time because it felt like to me, like they had been told so many lies about what they're not good enough. And I was trying so hard for them to understand that they didn't have to believe that. Like there were good qualities in them. And it was a lot harder in high school because they just didn't believe it. They didn't see it. They have been told so many times over and over that they're not good enough, that they're not good at this, they're not good at that. And when I was trying to get them to see, well, you're good at this and you're good at that and you're good at these amazing things. You know, we don't all have to be good at reading. We don't all have to be good at math, but man, you are good at technology and you are good at telling stories and you are good at getting people excited. You're going to do so many amazing things you don't even know yet.
Yep. And nobody's good at everything. If we were, we'd be obnoxious.
Yes.
So give us another tip.
It would be to build relationships outside of the classroom. Go to their games, go to their events, go to their performances. Even if you can't stay the whole time, take 15 minutes out of your day to show that you care outside of that classroom, because they are going to work harder for you. They are going to care about you, and they are going to show that they really want to do better if you put that time in.
Totally. And even if you can't go, at least ask about it the next day, right?
Right. Exactly.
Because if we care about things they care about, then it just translates to a better relationship. That is so important. Okay. So what's our next tip?
The next tip is if they get the answer wrong, to rephrase it. Instead of saying, oh, no, that's not the right answer, when you're like calling on students, to instead say something like, oh, that's a good thought. And I like where you're going with that. I'm kind of looking for this, though. I had a student once tell me, I co-taught in high school, and I noticed she never, ever volunteered in class. But when I was teaching and I called on her, she would volunteer. And I asked her about that. And she said, well, you never make me feel stupid. Whenever I have the wrong answer, you somehow somehow make it sound okay. And I never feel dumb. And so I didn't even know I was doing that. I just loved that she was volunteering and I wanted to affirm her in that. So I always tried to rephrase it if she didn't get the right answer. And I realized that I was doing something that not other teachers were doing, which is that I was just listening to their answer and I was validating it. Even if it wasn't right, I was telling them, oh, thank you for sharing that. I never said it was wrong. I never said no, but I always tried to validate their answer and made them feel like I was listening to them no matter what.
And if teachers will just remember how much courage it takes to speak up in a staff meeting and the power that the one or two words that your principal or headmaster says when you do speak up as to whether you are going to speak up next time.
Right, exactly.
Great tip. Okay, give us another one.
My next one is to check in. So if you see that they're having a bad day or they're off for some reason, something just doesn't seem right, check in with them. Even if they don't share with you what's going on, that check-in does mean something to them. And if you notice it later on and you check in again, they might open up because they know that you're seeing them. I've seen this in the classroom where I've had students who didn't open up and it took a few times, but the moment that they felt safe with me, they did. So just checking in, just letting them know that you see them, that you know something's wrong and that you're there for them.
You know, just looking in their eyes as they come into the classroom and you can notice so much and whether they're tired or not. And I've had a young man who's been not feeling well in one of my classes and his mom stopped me the other day and said, here's the thing, he's had a hard time, but he's told me how much you care. And it's like, it just makes all the difference in the world to care about people when they're having a hard time. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's another great tip. Give us another one.
The next one is just to remind parents of their students' strengths. A lot of times I feel like schools call and they tell them they're not reading at this level or they're not at grade level or they're not performing to our standards. They don't a lot of times get to hear the good stuff. Like call and tell them, hey, you know what? Your son was so kind to another student. And they're going to be blown away and they're going to love their child even more. They're going to hug them a little tighter and they're going to see their kid with some new eyes. I remember one time I was working in a really, really hard school. I mean, gangs, and it was just really, really hard. And I had a student who was an amazing student in class, and she was volunteering, she was sharing poems, and I called home and I let the mom know that I was just so impressed with her, and she didn't believe me. And I just remember being heartbroken by that and feeling like, okay, I need to do this more often. I need parents to know that I see good things in their students. Even if they're having a hard time at home, it's important for them to know that there's still strengths, that there's still beautiful things about their child that they're not seeing, especially in those teen years.
Yeah. And, you know, I like the first communication home to be positive and to be encouraging. And, you know, I like to write comments on report cards or anything that goes home because those kids are not just a number. And a number is just such a poor measure of who they are as a person. And, you know, it builds a relationship with those parents too, doesn't it?
It does. And they trust you and they come and talk to you if there's hard things going on or what to look. If something hard is coming up, they'll come and talk to you just so you are aware. It really builds community and trust.
Well, Crystal, you've given us, I count 5 amazing tips. And these are just part of living the life of an epic, remarkable teacher. It's about these relationships. It's about noticing strengths. It's about sending positive communications home. These are just so many important tips. And it's not just for special education students, it's for all students. And I hope you will follow my friend Crystal on Instagram at SunflowersandSped. Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you.
So today I want to tell you about the Advancement Courses Spring Sale. You can save 20% off each course with the code COOL20. So that's just $120 per graduate credit hour or $160 for 50 clock hours. Advancement Courses has over 250 online graduate level PD courses in 19 different subject areas. They have standard content areas like math, science, and social studies, but also have courses that are a little harder to find like PE or the arts, counseling, teacher wellness, social emotional learning, and special education courses. And they've even got a new course on makerspaces in the school library. All of these courses are online and self-paced, and you have up to 6 months to complete them. Graduate credit is available with an official transcript from your CAEP and regionally accredited university partners. So to take advantage of the spring sale, go to advancedmentcourses.com/CoolCat. And remember, use the code COOL20 to get your special 10-minute teacher discount and save 20%.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.